Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Back at home after a couple of days of intense work and travel. Excited to handicap week 12 of the National
You should
Football
go
League.
watch the halftime show, Drew.
Oh,
Somebody
really?
asked what you did, and I stumbled over my dick so bad trying to explain. I'm like, it's like geology, but engineering. He's like, I think I said building a dam or a volcano or something.
Building a
And
volcano.
yeah,
We're
I
hard
said-
at
I
work
said-
building a volcano.
I said there's earthquakes, and you got to take certain precautions when you put up a building or a dam. And Drew's a nerd with that shit.
It turns out
I'm not into it.
water resources are extremely important in California, not just for human consumption, but for industry and for agriculture. And right now we're working for a group of water districts in the Central Valley, which is the country's breadbasket.
Have
And,
you seen Chinatown people?
That's basically what we're doing. Is we're building one of those dams to take water off of the Sacramento Bay Delta and store it up in a dry canyon, so that the farmers have water in case of drought, which you never know.
Is it an
That way,
almond farm where he
it
goes
is.
out to?
it is. No, as oranges, I think.
Oranges. Yeah.
Oranges. But there's almonds is the primary crop of the community that we're working for up there, and we call it. When you have things like a bomb cyclone, I don't know if you know this, but a bomb cyclone with the triple
The
dipple
weather- the weather's
atmospheric
getting weird.
river going on right now, like you want to be able to capture all that rainfall. You don't want it to be just washing out into the Pacific Ocean. And so in order to do that, you need reservoirs. In order to have a reservoir, you need a dam. And the cheapest and most effective way to build dams in earthquake country is compacted earth fill. They perform well. They're resilient. You can monitor them, and just in general, we're doing some dam construction now.
Some damn fine work.
Damn fine work up in the Central Valley. So that's exciting stuff. It's cool problems, and if something goes wrong, if we fuck up, people die. It's not, the stakes are high, and so I take it very seriously.
Yeah, for sure. Little education on. It's funny you brought up the bomb cyclone too. It got me thinking. We don't talk a lot of weather on this podcast
That's right.
because we do it on Wednesday afternoon.
Kind of know. Yeah.
We're kind of in that tweener zone. I guess maybe we'll do a tiny segment at the beginning of Wednesdays where we mention it. Like, it's funny because the West Coast is getting all this weather, but like there's not really much affected because of where all those teams are playing. There might be some rain in Seattle. The real weather games are in New York and Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like Cleveland is rain, snow, high winds possible, very cold, shitty overall weather. And then New York is looking at 15 to 20 miles an hour in the Meadowlands for the Giants game, with some gusts up to the 30s because it's the Meadowlands. When it gets nasty this time of year, it does get nasty. So that's your weather report, and we're on week 12.
And as you would predict in the late portion of November, one of the most beautiful weather games of the week is at Green Bay. Go figure.
It's been
43
weird up there,
degrees
man.
and
Yeah.
5 mile an hour wind. Okay, wonderful.
It did snow here today. I got up, went to the bathroom. When I go to the bathroom, I have to leave my office and go out into the hallway. Like, then there's a window there I can see out into the world.
Good
And
news
I'm like, oh
for
shit, it's snowing.
yeah, good news for my fellow winter weather enthusiasts at Mammoth. We're expecting 2 to 5 feet from the bomb cyclone of fresh snow, so should immediately get rid of any kind of low tide conditions. Nice 5 feet of snow up on the hill, which will be sick.
Gotta have it. Can't
Honestly,
ski in
I
there.
wasn't really planning on going before like New Year's, but if we're getting that much snow now, it's going to be wet, so it might not be great for skiing. But up at the top, it'd probably be powdery. So very cool and very excited to kick off winter in sincerity. Got so many winter get-ups that I just never get to wear. It's a bummer. You know what that's like, right?
I do not know. What that's
Yeah,
like.
great jackets and sweaters. You just never
I
get to
own
wear
like
them.
30 hoodies, man. I do have like seven. Yeah, we're getting off topic so quick, but yeah, I own like 7 or 8 heavy coats. There's different ones for different activities,
yeah.
you know.
I'm glad we're off topic because there's a lot of games that I don't have much to say about, but you did do a nice segue with the weather into our first
We have
game, which looks
26 teams playing this week too.
yeah,
It's the heavy 6-team bye week.
yeah, and 3 games are outside of a touchdown. 1, 2 are right at a touchdown. Actually, looking at Houston number, that's come down. So we basically got half the board is touchdown favorites or more. And yeah, Thursday night football looks absolutely gross. Kind of your final at long last, we get a quintessential Cleveland weather shit show. And I think that absolutely helps the Browns here. I'll be honest. I think that Pittsburgh is at a sell high. I think they've been at a sell high for a while. I don't know how much more money I'm going to lose betting against these clowns, but I will continue to do it. Although I shouldn't say that. I bet them last week against the Ravens for no good reason. But the Browns, they let me down last week, and it was very, very tough to go back to the well with these clowns, the Cleveland Clowns. And I think that outside of the tackle question mark, left tackle question mark, the Browns to me look reasonably healthy, and I think this is kind of a game that the margin is more like a point, not outside of a field goal. So I played 3.5 here for Cleveland, and again, like expecting that the wind and the wet weather could impact the passing game for the Steelers, which is predicated on the drop the ball in the bucket from 500 feet in the air. I don't know that you're going to be able to count on the wind not influencing those very high jump ball type passes from Russell Wilson. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'd like to. My matchup I'm looking at, I'd kind of like to look at some deeper splits on this since they've gotten Chubb back. I think it's hard for me to evaluate exactly what the running game or maybe the whole offense as a whole, holistically, I'm going to say whole like 9 times, is because of all the change. We had the weirdness of what is Wentz or what is Watson? Why is he acting like this? Why can't he play football anymore? We don't have either tackle playing. Maybe that's affecting it. And then you get Chubb back. Then you switch quarterbacks. Then you switch quarterbacks again in game and bring in emergency Winston. Then we stick with Winston. Chubb's still getting his feet under him. And now again, we have tackle issues. It's really hard to like grade because if I look at my main numbers, it says this is a terrible running team. This is a terrible run blocking team.
Cleveland.
Yeah. And I have that as a very bad matchup for them, which has made me a little hesitant to back them, even though I am at more like a 2.5 here. I think this should be 3 or less.
I'm at 1.3.
Yeah, I struggle with that matchup because I think that's going to be an important part of getting this, getting this game to stay within a touchdown, to stay within a field goal, honestly. If they're not able to run the ball and it's all on Jameis's hands, then you kind of have the high variance. Although he didn't turn the ball over last week.
Yeah.
He looked decent at times, honestly, other than kind of the defense. It's some bad tackling in the defensive secondary. I think they need to have a little bit of a come to Jesus meeting back there. But outside of that, it's probably that left tackle too, because do
we know who's going to be backfilling for Will?
It's going to be Jermaine Ifedi.
They're moving him over to the left.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the other issue. Like, hey, Andy, that's a name I've heard. Yeah, that's not some practice squad guy. Yeah, he's started I think he's played like 80 some games.
Yeah,
he played a bunch. He's a right tackle.
Yeah, the right tackle.
He's a right tackle. He's a right guard. He doesn't play left. He hasn't been a blindside blocker very much.
God, I hope he can ambi turn.
Yeah, and this is a tough task, with the pass rush that they're going to bring. So I'm a little concerned about that matchup. And then, maybe the Dustin Hopkins, maybe he'll finally get tamped down a little with the bad weather.
Could be. I will tell you this: the one of the soft, stupid reasons I backed the Steelers last week is because it was in the back of my head that Lamar struggles against that defense for whatever reason, right? And he did. And one of the kind of stupid reasons to back the Browns in this spot is and you saw it in that Ravens game if you watched it. That was a physical game. And now they're turning around on a short week and playing on the road against another divisional opponent. Like this is kind of a kiss of death spot. I'll be honest. Like if Pittsburgh shows up and looks physically ready to go for this game, I'm just gonna shrug. Like, all right, well, didn't think that was coming. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Then they're legit. So here's the completely non-analytical, not even like smart. This is the dumb shit, the dumbest person you know in your gambling circles, the buddy who bets on the stupidest things narrative. But it feels like this happens all the time where this team is labeled a fraud. They're better than their record. They're not any good. And then as soon as the tide turns and everybody's like, well, we were wrong. Mea culpa. I'd like to apologize to Russell Wilson. This is probably a coach of the year kind of run for as soon as the media makes that flip-flop, they lose a game they shouldn't lose. Yeah. Not to say this is some touchdown favorite. This is a tough road divisional short week. But yeah, this feels like such a stupid spot where everybody who's like, they're going to do all this media on ESPN and all the big podcasts and shows all week, giving them their flowers because of the Ravens game. And then it's just going to come back and Jameis is going to throw 5 touchdowns.
I love it.
My numbers say, Cleveland. Narrative says Cleveland. And like you said, the situational spot coming off that Ravens game says Cleveland. I'll probably back Cleveland and hate myself.
Second week in a row. Yikes. You mentioned coach of the year, Andy, and I want to say Tomlin is in some places the favorite right now. Which I just love seeing that. But it got me thinking about coach of the year a little bit because, we are looking at this year's favorite against last year's winner. Like, how stupid was that? We didn't really chew on that much, but Stefanski getting coach of the year last year was really fucking stupid. That was a bad call. Bad job by the voters. Like,
I don't want to bring up another bad award, but it felt like Stefanski and Flacco shouldn't have gotten it.
Bad job by the voters.
They had to pick a lane there.
Bad job. And like Stefanski, and this isn't even like saying like he's not a good coach. How could they have good work? Plenty of bad coaches have got coach of the year. I'm not putting Stefanski in that category, but the job he did last year, was it really that impressive? Like, he had a $200 million quarterback to start the season, and he brought in a Super Bowl MVP who still had something left in the tank. And he was the offensive side of the ball, and the offense was never really that good. It was the defense that carried them to the
Flacco playing above average.
Yeah, and so like, what exactly did he do? The word did coach of the year. I don't know. I don't really see it. And you know who did do something pretty impressive last year? Who won? Who also was a wild card team with an even worse slate of quarterbacks, guys who are all now very much out of the league, was Tomlin. Like, and he was the defensive side of the equation for that team.
The narrative was they used 5 different quarterbacks and did, and still did something. I get giving him his flowers, but I still would have given it to Campbell over anything.
Oh, of course. Campbell deserved more credit. I'm just saying, like, between those guys, as you look back on last year, like, the more improbable playoff team was surely Pittsburgh. Like, their quarterback situation was terrible. What do we see? Mason Rudolph, Trubisky, and with Pickett, poo-poo platter of just terrible quarterback play all year. But because Tomlin got the defense coached up, they won enough games to get a 7 seed. Like, that was a more impressive job, I gotta say.
And anyway, speaking of Tomlin, to bring this full
I'm over it though. I'm over it.
Full circle on Tomlin. Not a trends guy, but this is a common joke. This is like the setup to any funny tweet that's shared in the Discord. I'm not a trends guy, but I think somebody actually did it with this tweet probably today. Was Tomlin's kind of shitty in Thursday Night Football? He has like a terrible record. I don't know if, and I know it's not a huge sample size, and he's. Sometimes those can be misleading. You go back and look at that and be like, oh, but they were terrible that one year where they had 3 of them.
They play so physically. If they're not physically ready on a short week,
Tomlin's never had a terrible team either. That's the thing.
True.
He's never had a terrible team. You can't say, well, they had like 3 Thursday Night Football games, and that was like a 2-14 team or whatever. No, they're always at least decent.
Famously, he's always above 500.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's easy to fact check that. There has to be something in his process that doesn't allow him to, expedite it. I don't know. Just something to think about.
Anyway,
He's also terrible on Tuesday Night Football.
He was terrible on Tuesday Night Football. That was when they were undefeated in the Redskins or the Washington football team at that time. I think beat them, right? God damn. I think they're 8-2, so one more win clinches Tomlin his 500 season or better season. So keep a watch out for that. I think I honestly, like, if Pittsburgh wins by 3, I don't really care. I play 3.5. I didn't bet any Cleveland money line. But I will say this: I do think that there is a buy lowish on the Ravens right now. I do think there's a sell highish on the Steelers right now. I don't know how sincerely I feel about that.
Sims said so. So I ran Sims with
they did. Yeah.
The express purpose of looking at division prices and to make the playoff prices, and Ravens were one of those that showed a little value for me.
Yes, I'm there too. I also rate them as the best team in football, so it's not a surprise. But yes, I think in general, Ravens getting the return win in the head-to-head against the Steelers, combined with the Steelers scuffling a little bit here over a tough stretch of their schedule, I think really does spell Steelers probably get the 5-6 seed wild card. And Tomlin, I don't think, is your realistic coach of the year. I don't have a strong bet to make in the coach of the year market, but I'm against Tomlin there. You know what? This is a great segue. You want a great segue, or you got more thoughts?
I got one more thing on this too. Is now I lost it. I completely lost it. The in-season Hard Knocks, does that become a distraction for teams? Does anyone have any opinions or data on that? And secondly, remember all this conversation? I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go
Miami.
But
Miami, they kind of like drove off the side of the.
What's the weird thing about the Steelers' schedule this year, Drew?
It was backloaded with all of their divisional games.
Did they do that on purpose just for Hard Knocks?
Maybe. That's not crazy. That's not crazy.
The question is Hard Knocks better, or is it not better if it's,
when it's
all divisional foes
rivalry week every week? Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like.
Now, why would they do that? All right. So, segue for coach of the year. I need your opinion on this. Sunday's first game in the rotation is Detroit and Indianapolis. Detroit is 7.5-point favorites. I think that is absurd. I think that is just flat out a terrible number. Biggest bet of the week for me is Indy, and we can get into why. But I think Detroit still probably wins. But
either having a good week or we're having a bad week.
Yeah, yeah, right. And I gotta say, the Dan Campbell finally getting recognition after, if they're the 1 seed, feels right. Like, that feels like it's coming, right? Yeah. That said, my numbers say bet the Vikings to win the NFC North. I kind of want to do both. On that as well. I kind of want to do both, where it's like, okay, Vikings to win the North, Campbell coach of the year, and one of those two things happens. I feel like if the Lions hang, if they can just, I'm at like a little under 80% for them now. If they just hang on and win the division, I think Campbell gets it this year. And if they scuffle and stumble, and the gap is not that big for the Vikings and the Lions, and they get one more game head to head, then the Vikings can steal, and they're like four plus, bigger than 4-1, which is.
I'm with you there. I think that the situation where neither occurs is where the Lions scuffle and the Vikings scuffle, and the Eagles were to steal the 1 seed. Yeah. I'm not saying Sirianni would get the award. I'm saying somebody else would get it. Campbell would lose some steam
fair point
by not getting the 1 seed.
Or the 3% chance that the Packers somehow get it.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's there's like a 10% chance that either the Vikings don't win the division or the Lions play very well and end up just getting the 1st seed. And it would, we'll talk about their defense. Kings Court 999.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm also betting the Colts.
Okay.
I can't.
All right. The big kind of takeaways from Anthony Richardson last week was it felt like there was learning done by Richardson, but more by Steichen in terms of what he was asking him to do. It felt like they kept
the game plan.
They kept it simple. And they have the wide receivers to really put stress on this pass defense for Detroit. Detroit is gonna have to go to war without one of their boys. Anzalone matters. I will absolutely go to war with that opinion, and I think that Detroit's defense on the road here could get into a little bit of trouble. Indianapolis being able to kind of hit them with the balance, hit them with the Detroit recipe of nice bit of running, nice bit of deep pass, and some easy button stuff for Anthony Richardson. We're talking about, this is going to be a game that's decided by last possession, I think. And having 7.5 in pocket feels too good to be true. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. Where do you have the Jets defense rated right now?
Probably 15th-ish, maybe lower.
I was going to say, they're not great. They're not what we expected.
15 exactly.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between 10 and 15, I'm guessing. But I have them clearly better than the Lions defense. This is an offense we saw that it worked.
Without Anzalone, yeah, I agree.
And I'm saying last week against the Jets, that was, even if the Jets are a disappointment compared to expectations, it's a better defense. It's a much better defense than Detroit, especially Sands, Anzalone, Hutchinson.
No Hutchinson.
Obviously, Brian Branch is a stud.
Yeah, no.
If he had more counting stats, he'd probably be very much in the conversation for DPOI. But man,
he might end up being in the conversation anyway.
I think he'll get votes. I think he'll absolutely get votes. But yeah, this was one right off the bat where I'm like, I'm kind of pissed I didn't just bet the 8, but it doesn't seem to be moving. I'm making this about a 6. This total is dropping as well. I think is it still 49.5? I got to get a current odds up.
It is 50.5.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how people are going to want to treat the Lions offense after that game. So here's the thing. Teams don't quit. Players don't quit. Coaches don't quit. Front offices can quit by moves they want to make. The Giants, obviously, that's a quitting on trying to win games and move up.
We'll get to that.
But that was just a really bad Jaguars team that could not possess the ball at all. And the Lions did whatever they want. This is a step up in class for them on the road. Was it in Jacksonville? Or was that in Detroit? I'm misremembering what week 11 was.
No, it was in Detroit.
It was in Detroit, right?
Yeah, okay. It was in Detroit.
So just not a terrible travel spot. Still an indoor game, but I can't get to 7.5 here, even with the high total.
Yeah. Detroit has also traveled. You mentioned travel. They have been on the move a lot. They were back-to-back Cowboys, Vikings, home for Tennessee, back-to-back Packers, Texans, home for the Jaguars. This is now their fifth road trip in 7 weeks, and none of them were egregious. They're all Central U.S., but that wears on you. Indy, I think, is frisky right now. If Richardson plays like that, if Steichen calls plays like that the rest of the way, and if their offensive line stays healthy, I don't know. It needs to get healthy, I guess. Then Indy's going to come down the stretch hot. And I think that's probably your 7 seed.
Yeah, 100%.
7.5. I mean, the Indy plus the points with the hook right now is just fucking awesome. In fact, it's kind of evaporating. So if you're listening to this on Thursday, apologies. I think it's probably gonna be gone. This looks like a 7 to me right now. 7.5 was.
Yeah, it's starting to move a little.
7.5 was a nice bet. Anyway, my total on this one was 51. My fair is actually 50. My fair is 51. So slightly into the over, but no.
If you want to go down,
I'm not really. I'll be actually just real quick.
You want to go down Narrative Street?
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit. This is a non-conference game ahead of like 5 more divisional games plus
that matter more.
Yeah, those are the tests. I'm not saying they're going to punt on this game. They still have Minnesota and Philly breathing right down their neck.
This is clearly the least important game left on their schedule.
Yeah, it very much is. It's just a get out of town kind of game.
You know what else, Andy? You know what next week is? Thanksgiving, Lions hosting the Bears. We
In a
are
short
thinking
week.
about a
Yeah.
short week, and this is. God damn, should I just go play some Colts money line or Colts playoffs?
Oh,
I'm
they'll be,
thinking about it
you
now.
do a spicy money line round robin, they have to be in it.
Yeah, this is my favorite dog of the week by margin.
And then for a good point from Xavier, Downs has been
Downs is so good.
Downs has been an elite. I mean, I want to call him a possession receiver,
so
but he also gets open deep too, like mid-range intermediate stuff.
He's just flat out good. Period. If you made me make a list of the current top 10 wide receivers playing football right now, he is 100% on the top 10. No question.
That's aggressive. I like it.
Yeah. He's probably 9th or 10th, but he's on that list. Okay. KC Carolina is a game that will be played in Carolina. I got nothing else. Carolina's gotten rest. Bryce Young's going to start. They're 12-point dogs. That's probably right. I'm sorry, they're 11-point dogs. I make it 12. Somebody's probably going to talk themselves into betting Carolina this week. Good luck to you. I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm a shade off. I'm a shade over 10. This line's pretty good. Carolina is coming off the bye, getting a little healthier. It looks like Thielen's a go. He matters.
I have to admit, I actually have an admission here.
Go ahead.
Thielen's going. Yeah. Sorry,
carry
on with the injuries. Yeah, to carry on with the injuries.
I don't know about Wanham, but Thielen and Jonathan Brooks look like they're going. So, like, Carolina's getting healthier. I think it's still a coach that has some leeway because it's his first year. He's going to want to try to win some games. Probably doesn't feel like one of them that's feasible to win, but you want to go put your best effort forth, and go into when you're being evaluated as a coach after your first year. This is messy. It's been a messy year for him. You don't want a bunch of bad marks on your report card at the end of the year. So if you come out of your bye and look like absolute dog shit relative to expectations, like losing this game by 8 to 10 points isn't looking like dog shit, I don't think. But if you go out and throw an absolute stinker, I think that's a mark against you late in the season you can't have. If you get Thielen back and you have Bryce Young looking a little better, it's such a tough defense. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. It's going to be a bad game, guys.
It's going to be a bad one. I have a personal confession. For kind of going through and really kind of fine-tuning my number for this one, I was like, ooh, Carolina, that's a big number. Bryce Young off the bye. Maybe he's learning something. Maybe he's on the come up. Maybe he closes strong. Carolina is playing for, they're not tanking. Like, they're trying to play hard. They're trying to evaluate down the roster. Like, they're going to be frisky. They're the team no one wants to play. Like, I was kind of talking myself up to kind of see if there was anything there, and there's nothing. But in the process of doing that, I literally was looking at, they're only like 3 games behind the Falcons.
It's crazy how it is. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
They're only a couple games back in the Falcons. It's not that far. And you know what else? They got a game in hand against the Falcons. I don't know. Falcons have now dropped 2 in a row against the Saints and the Broncos, and coming off the bye week. And actually, like, I've just kind of in the back of my head was like, oh yeah, the Falcons schedule is super easy. They're just gonna walk. They're just gonna waltz. It's over, right? And they're 6-5.
They're not waltzing.
It's not over. They're not waltzing. And you know what? Who they play coming out of the bye week? It's Chargers Vikings back to back. That's loss. I gotta say, if they don't fix their defense,
people are seriously betting Tampa to win the division because
that's happening.
It's a big price. Yeah, a bunch of people have made a case for Tampa.
That's not crazy. Mike Evans is back.
The problem is the tiebreakers.
They lost both head-to-heads to they did. They went the overtime loss. That one really hurt.
They lost both head-to-heads. Like, I thought I'd love it, and then I ran the numbers. I couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, because Tampa's a huge favorite this week. That's basically a gimme. That's gimme too. Worst matters. It's basically a gimme, and I think I just wanted to put myself in the future, in my shoes in the future on December 9th and ask the question: are the 6 and 7 Falcons really going to win the division? Because that's the world we're going to be living in, I think. I mean, maybe they beat the Chargers. I don't know, but I don't know that they're winning at the Vikings. And their final 4 games are super, super duper easy. It's Raiders, Giants, Commanders, Panthers. Like that's probably worst case 3-1, right? I mean, the Raiders and Giants and Panthers, I don't think are planned for anything in the final week of the season. Who knows? But
no, they're in a competition.
yeah, I guess is this I guess where I'm at is 9-8 now is really where we're going with this Falcons team.
It probably gets it done.
It probably gets it done.
Yeah.
Because
I think my most
9-8 and loses the tie breaks.
Yeah, my most common situation was a tie atop the at 9-8, like you said, and they lose the tie breaks.
Saints are out. I got them at 4% still.
It's
Tampa
going to be
Bay, I'm at 15%.
So ugly.
My probability for the Carolina Panthers to win the division is 0.4%. It's not 0. All right, I got nothing else. They're going to lose this game and they're going to be limited.
I'm going to look at my probabilities real quick. What did you say you had Tampa at?
15ish.
Yeah, I'm at 13.9. I'm not that 15, much lower than you.
15.3 for me.
Price was not quite big enough.
Are you including this week's number for the Giants?
Yes.
When you ran it, you had so you have a basically effectively a win in pocket this more or less this week.
I don't know. It's if I was missing an offensive lineman, there's other teams I'd rather play than.
That's a great point. Actually,
that's the only good thing going for the Giants. All right, let's move on.
Future content. Mini Chicago. I'm on market. I thought I was going to have a case here for Minnesota. I think Minnesota goes and gets the win. I think that if you like Minnesota to win this game, you probably better off doing what we were just postulating, which is go find a price for them to win the North because it ain't over yet. Chicago's defense is completely falling apart. I can't explain it. They're not playing well though. Eberflus seems to have lost that team in general. And the fact that things broke so favorably for them last week against the Packers and they still lost with the block kick, I think was basically that was kind of, it's a wrap. Caleb showed enough in that game to kind of quiet the people coming for his head, which was stupid in the first place, but at least that's kind of over. So maybe he can play a little bit of stress-free football down the stretch and learn and grow with Thomas Brown trying to get a job somewhere next year. But Minnesota and the Brian Flores defense coming to town is bad news, I think, for the Bears, on top of the fact that I guess it sounds like they're going to probably play Swift even though he's hurting. And I don't love Swift when he's 100%. I really don't like him when he's a step slow. I think,
especially against this has been a really good run defense. So I'm on the Vikings. I recommended it yesterday. There was 3 -15s yesterday that got snatched up. At this point, I was not one that snatched it. I thought it would last a little longer. At this point, I might sell it to 4 or just. I need a plus number at 3.5, I guess. And that's a good time to mention our sponsor, Profit X, which has
guys
kind of looks like the best price at 3.5 right now at plus 101. If you can get plus even money or better at 3.5, I'd play that. Otherwise, I'm selling to 4. And obviously, if you sign up for Profit X using bonus code BetSperts, you get $300 in profit cash over the next 30 days. So check it out. There will be a link in the description. I'll let you know if they have the best line and anything else. And they're available in 40 states. So if you're in a shittily legislated state like ours, California and Minnesota, that do not have legal sports betting yet, you can play at Profit X. Check that out. Yeah, Circa had a flat 3 for a little bit. It was I thought there was going to be some Bears a momentum in the market, but apparently more people agree with me than disagree with me. I like Minnesota a lot in this. Like we talked about Flores against a young quarterback. Hey, where are your problems right now with injuries, Chicago? Offensive line? Okay, you're going up against a team that's in the top 10 in pressure rate, knockdown rate, sack rate, hurry rate, everything for pass rush has been high for Minnesota. And then your other issue is safety, corner. You're missing some pieces in the defensive back. Not a great time to maybe face Jefferson Addison in that gang. The pass rush has been a plus this year, but this has been a good offensive line for Minnesota. Like none of the matchups look good. The only thing to dog on Minnesota is it's been a back-to-back-to-back. It has been a bit of a travel spot. That said, it's not very far to Chicago. This shouldn't be horrible. I'm laying it with Minnesota. I think they're still rated a little low by the market.
Yeah, fourth roadie in 5 weeks for the Vikings. But you know what that means, Andy? It means if they can just if they can just find a way, the only travel they have left is at Seahawks week 16 and at Detroit week 18. Every other game the rest of the way is homey for the Vikings. Another reason to just, rather than lay the minus 125, just bet the Vikings North, I think.
Yeah.
But don't forget to get some insurance on Campbell Coach of the Year. I don't know. Does that strategy, does that check out to you, or do you think that's stupid?
Well, somebody in the chat mentioned, what do you think? If Minnesota gets the North, do they get the 1 seed? And then are you also maybe putting a few bucks on KOC?
Okay, so
to do it with Sam Darnold is a pretty big narrative that could be grabbed onto late in the year.
If the Vikings get the 1 seed, KOC is probably your coach of the year. Here's the problem. It's 4-1.
Oh, I didn't know his price was that bad.
I didn't either. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was literally like, yeah, I mean, oh, you could just take Vikings to win the North, or you can get risky and go for the bigger kill, KOC coach of the year. And I kind of had assumed he had drifted to 8 or 10, but he's 4-1. So there's no honeypot there.
Yeah, that stinks. So it's about the same price. It's about the same price. You're going to get Minnesota at like 5. I can't remember what the exact price was.
Yeah, I like that better. Real quick, as far as sweepstakes guys go, number one, I love it. I can't believe that it's taken this long when this wrinkle apparently always existed. Like, hallelujah. Is there anything stopping me from opening a bar and offering sweepstakes at the bar? Like, is that a viable workaround to just running a book out of your bar? I was having these thoughts today specifically.
I don't know if I would try that, because like I feel like it's different.
No, we just got to give away. We just got to give away some.
You have to have an app.
Yeah, some deep dive bar points. No, we just got to give away some deep dive bar points, so it's a sweepstakes.
It's like a Rufus coin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, the market does stink, Patrick. 6 coaches under 9-1. It's tough. I think they're realizing all of those guys have such legitimate paths to getting there. They're just leaving the prices where it is.
Yeah, that sounds right. If you made me pick right now, I think Dan Campbell's the pick. But
we have at the bar. We have a bit of a sweepstakes at bars around here. You know what it's called?
The raffle?
Meat raffle.
So you don't get to make picks though, do you?
You get to pick your meat if you win.
Oh,
I mean, if early on you're like, I'll take the pork chops, or I'll take the ribs, so I'll take those porterhouses. I don't know how it works. It's usually it's like $20 worth of meat, and then they sell 30 tickets, and as soon as the tickets are sold, they spin the wheel. If you have the number, you pick your meat, and then if you're gonna get fucked up for a while, they'll usually stick it in the cooler for you. Don't forget your pork chops when you go home, Andy. A little different, but I do love that game. Vikings injury report. Josh Oliver.
Yeah.
Maybe not a huge name, but he's been a big part of the offensive game plan of late. Yeah. He has a sprained. So his ankle is hurting, but he's also listed with a wrist injury. So keep an eye on that one.
Mm-hmm. Jones, ribs full. He's going. Jones is going. Okay. All right. Moving on to Dallas at Washington. Imagine if you bet this pre-season, Andy.
It would have been Dallas -3.
I think I'll take. You're looking at man, what if Dallas gets hurt or something? What if Washington's good? You know what? I'll take the 3.5 with the commies. And now it's 10.5. Oh boy.
It's like a college game of the year. I mean, some of those move like this every year.
Yeah, this is a big one though. And I agree. I think Dallas should be rated at or around the bottom of the NFL right now, and I think Washington doesn't really deserve much of an adjustment after what we've seen the last couple of weeks. Although this is the test. If you can't get right against this defense, we got problems. The injury report for Dallas is absolutely horrific, Andy. This is and it's a short week on top of that. Dallas is it looks like CeeDee Lamb was limited. DNP for Jake Ferguson. I think he's probably no go. Tyler Guyton was a full participant after the back-breaking fumble that I'm still mad about. Zach Martin, DNP with an ankle shoulder. That's addition by subtraction, sadly, the way he's played this year. Tyler Smith, the left guard, was a DNP. That's subtraction by subtraction because he's very good. I think Dallas is in deep fucking trouble. And everybody, everybody has eyes on Washington here to see if they can snap out of the mini funk that offense has found themselves in.
Yeah, the injury report, not great. And this should be a spot where, we think about Jaden and we think about how he's been as far as a passer managing that offense. But this should be a spot where you just run the ball, right? It should just be, hey, we can run the ball over and over and over again, and it doesn't matter which of the backs we hand it to. Like, this should just work constantly because they've had just zero success stopping the run at all. So I don't know what stops Washington from having a ton of success here. And obviously we're in a spot, Drew. Widowmaker.
It's a Widowmaker.
It's a Widowmaker. I just made Grok make that. That's the only. It's like the good thing about Twitter Premium outside of being able to edit. That's why I was talking slow. I was trying to do two things at once, but yeah, I actually like this over.
Okay.
So if you look at, and this has been mentioned by other people in
Dan Quinn revenge game though, man.
The Widowmaker spots, and I know the sample is like 50, but those are like 70% to the over. Like, you've seen a lot of struggly defenses, even in the short week where we usually associate with, bad or vanilla offenses. This is still not a good Washington defense. CeeDee Lamb still exists. Cooper Rush, if he's not getting sacked, is decent. He's not bad. He's not good. He's definitely below average, but he's not he's not horrific. He just takes some bone-crushing sacks here and there. Like I said, I make Houston. I have Houston as like a top 5 defense in certain aspects. Like, this is a huge drop down in class. Like, Dallas will score points, but Christ, I don't know if Washington punts if they've called the right offense.
My fair is right around 45, so I didn't even really give this a second thought, but you're making good points.
Yeah, I'm going to play this over.
Washington needs to get to 28 probably.
I think there's a good case for Washington team total over here too. And it's going to be about 28. Well, I mean, what should this total's like 28,
27,
17?
Yeah, 20 juicy 27 and a half.
Yeah.
27 and a half, 17 and a half. Yeah. Okay. I think that's interesting.
Over 45 for me.
The other half of the must-watch game on Thanksgiving is the New York Giants, who are hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as Andy mentioned, in pretty gross weather conditions. Meadowlands, along with Cleveland, stand at the top of my list of places you really must pay attention to the wind, because it does affect the kicking game. It does affect the passing game, and it could affect this total. It's been bet down to 41. That's awfully low for a Tampa Bay game. Baker Mayfield does have a rifle for an arm, so he should be able to still do something in these conditions. He's also used to playing in Cleveland, so this isn't going to feel totally new to him. The other side of the equation is a problem. The New York Giants are starting Mr. Tommy DeVito. Tommy Giblets will be getting his feet wet at home before we send him to the slaughterhouse on Thanksgiving. The Tampa Bay defense hasn't been great, but should be able to keep him in the single digits. What do you think?
We talked about this with Bowles previously, where he got to face Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
Like, how does Todd Bowles keep lucking into these spots where he faces young, inexperienced rookies, all these, advantageous spots for him, even though he doesn't have, maybe the most talented defense he's ever had. It still has some good players. This is a team without a left tackle. I mean, they will start someone at left tackle, but they don't have their starting left tackle from the beginning of the year. And maybe like Yaya Diaby and maybe up the middle, Vita Vea, you just get enough pressure on this kid. He was sacked 37 times last year. He only started 6 games, played sparingly in 2 more and like half of another. It was a lot. It was like the highest sack rate among like qualifying quarterbacks. He had the lowest. I went back on running backs don't matter to look. I set it at 250 snaps, which is funny because he had like 255. I was thinking I might have to lower it for him. It was right on the one I picked, which was nice. But he was 34th out of 35 in success rate. Yeah. Like, I almost need to go back and watch what happened in that Green Bay game because I don't know what the hell happened, how they beat that Green Bay team.
That was one of the stupider games of the year.
He was 3-3 as a starter.
Here's the problem, though. Immovable object versus stoppable force, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Unstoppable force. The Tampa Bay's pass defense has the worst dropback success rate in the NFL, even worse than the Jags. The Jags, who are conceding 0.332 EPA per dropback. How can that be real? That can't be a real number. They're basically making every single quarterback they play look like prime Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I don't think last week helped. Sort it without last week.
I guess 0.332 per dropback. That's enormous number. That is just a stupid high number. Anyway, Tampa Bay has a worse success rate than the Jags.
Yeah. Well, they've played some games against good offenses with very few options in the secondary. They're missing all the secondary pieces. I mean, you go back to both of the Falcons games where they were injured or just overmatched, and the Falcons kind of put it on their ass.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one to, like I said, this was one I played at -3 on the look ahead last week.
Good bet.
And it's like the only thing I have ever gotten right where I said, I wrote, I think we could have some Mike Evans and some Drew Lock. And I was close. I didn't think we'd go all the way down to Tommy Giblets. That was the reason to play that. And
tiny opinion question for you.
I can't get to 6 though.
I'm
tempted to middle this.
No, I'm not at 6. I'm not at 6, and I have Giants rated very low.
That's what I'm saying. I can't quite get to this big of a number.
Can I ask you a tiny opinion question though, because it was relevant for this decision you're trying to make? Throwing up the white flag with Tommy DeVito as the decision as your starter, doesn't that send a message to everybody on the team?
So they've said this was Dable's choice between the 2 quarterbacks. They said they're benching Daniels. You get to pick, and he thought he had a better chance because he's more of a running quarterback.
Better chance for what?
I think he thinks
one pick.
Yeah, I think he thinks he's going to win games with this because the prevailing wisdom is he was given a choice, and the other prevailing wisdom is he's coaching for his job. So he does want to win games, and he thinks this is better than Drew Lock, which gotta hurt Lock. I know there was the Lock incentive stuff, but I don't think that's kind of drop in the bucket stuff compared to what they're already saving. And if anybody hasn't followed that, Daniel Dimes has a 2025 injury guarantee. If he can pass a physical at the start of the 2025 league year, which is in like March, then they can get rid of him for not nothing, but next to nothing.
A lot less, yeah.
Whereas if he were injured this season and that carried through, they'd have to pay him like $23 million. Okay. So that's why he's the 4th quarterback. They don't even want to see him get hurt. What if
somebody runs into his ACL on the sideline? Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have him getting hurt in practice even. Like he's bubble wrapped at this point. So
okay.
I don't know.
Tommy DeVito.
DeVito can run.
Tommy DeVito was a brave Italian quarterback, and in this house, Tommy DeVito is a hero. End of story. We will move on to New England, Miami. I have nothing on this game. I am square on 7, and I am square on 45. I would lean under, and I would lean Patriots at these prices, but I think there's probably upside with the Patriots offense with Drake May out there. And there's probably upside with Miami's offense because New England's defense is not good. You got any thoughts on this one, or is this the easiest one of the day to pass?
So I actually have Miami as slight value at the 7. Is it still 7, or are we up in a teaser spot?
7.5 plus 102 at bookmaker.
Yeah, maybe maybe a
has
teaser.
What does Profit X have?
I'll have to check. Miami is, you can get Miami 7.5 minus 101, or New England plus 7.5 minus 108.
Wow,
So,
that's the juice.
Yeah,
Good on
it
them.
is low juice. It is low juice.
Good
guys.
on them.
Good on them.
Nice.
Go make an offer. You can put in whatever line you want. So they have 7 too. They have the alternate lines. You can get New England plus 7 at 108 plus 108. My numbers say Miami here, and it's considerable. I also looked at this over, but boy, everybody got there before me. This look ahead was like 43.5. It's up to 46. New England has looked better on offense. I don't know what I'm getting from the Miami defense. It's been very hit or miss over the last few weeks. Yeah. I think what I'm getting from Tua has been good, though. If you go look at his since he's come back, it's been good. He's had some bad luck around him, and he's had some bad luck when the defense played down in the other game. He's had some bad luck with the defense against Arizona, and that was his first game back. But generally, his numbers look pretty good. So I'm like I said, I liked this over, but with me liking Miami as well, you're talking like a 26 for a team total. This is another team total I'm definitely looking at.
Yeah, I'm at 26.5. I mean, I couldn't be more on market there. 27 though. It's doable. Against this,
I don't have a ton else to say on this. The Patriots
defense is quite bad.
It's quite bad. They had some extra injuries. Jones was banged up in the last game. They had a linebacker that probably is concussed. Miami's fairly healthy right now. Mostert, he injured his hip, came back in. All the important pieces are healthy if Tyreek continues to just play through whatever he has. So, and this is the other thing. I don't think Gerard Mayo is a very good coach.
Mayo in a blender sounds gross.
If you get, are you talking about Will Levis, Sam?
McDaniel puts mayo in his blender? Yuck.
He puts it in his coffee.
Well, Levis does. I know that. That's also very weird. All right. Speaking of Will Levis, he is taking on the Houston Texans. This number is come down. Disagree. I was not going to handicap or bet this game, but if you're going to make it 7.5, I'm in. I think Houston last week was sort of the kind of reacquainted game for Nico Collins. Now with Nico Collins back at full speed and Tank Dell looks good. He finally kind of has the spunk and the zip, the verve, the viv, the
vim and vigor.
The vigor, vim and vigor. This is going to be a good passing attack, I think, against Tennessee passing defense that is very gettable. Houston's defense against this Tennessee offensive line is going to be a disaster. You see, Tennessee had 13 accepted penalties last week against the Vikings. Like, they're just not well coached. They're not a serious team. They're now Tennessee on the road at Houston. I think this is probably the game where Houston stands up and flexes a little. So I don't mind laying 7.5 with them. I think this is moving the wrong way, in my opinion.
They've been playing that no doubles defense where they're not going to let you get over the top. But if you have a tight end or some possession receivers, some good slot guys, you have like multiple good slot guys. If you want, you have Joe Mixon. If you want to take everything underneath all day long, you can just move down the field. This is a good defense, not great. And a big part of that is Snead is going to miss again. And there's just too many weapons. Once when you see a good defensive game from Tennessee, it's been here's a team that doesn't have a good quarterback, maybe doesn't have enough weapons.
Yeah.
There's probably too much to account for this. And yeah, they can just I think it's just gonna be you're gonna get to the end of the game and be like, man, they had like 30 first downs.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised this number went the other way as well. I
Yeah.
have this I'm in strong
Short week for
agreement here,
Houston,
too.
but they're home.
I make this 10.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
So
Okay, so-
definitely a teaser possible.
Okay.
Just a straight up play.
All right. So while we're on Houston for a second, did you stay up till the end of the Monday Night Football game?
Yeah, what the fuck, Dad?
What the fuck was that? What was that?
Normally I
What are they
appreciate
doing?
so normally I appreciate that. Like, oh, you can't win if you punt, but I mean they couldn't win either way at that point. What are we doing there?
4th and 16 going for it was annoying. The Texans trotting out the A team so that they
Yeah.
could finally break the no touchdowns in the second half that they're all pissed about. Like, what? The game is over. Like, what are you doing? Why is Mixon out there? I was actively like, fuck these guys. They deserve somebody important needs to get hurt. I was like,
Oh my
I was
god,
like, this
Drew's rooting
was
for the
so
Booty
mad.
Miles.
I was so mad. And after it's over, I was like, oh, whatever. I lost, whatever. But god damn, what was that? That makes me want to not bet totals anymore, honestly. And actually, I didn't bet a single total this week, so maybe that's my lesson learned. Yeah, what the hell, man? That game was just at drunkest, stupidest game we've had all season, and I cannot believe the Texans felt like they needed to exercise some demons to the tune of scoring a touchdown at that time when the game was very fucking over. And yeah, stupid.
Yeah.
To take it over by like 2 points. Fucking dumb.
It should
So
be
fucking dumb.
It's been a good run stop unit for Tennessee, but I think some of that's been opponent based, and their pass rush has just not gotten home very often. I have a pretty low pass rush grade for them.
Correct.
That
is correct.
I don't. It doesn't match up well, and it has been a weird coverage unit. Like the success rate is high, but they're like I said, you're not gonna. You don't need to take the top off. You can just sit there and spam slot receivers against this team and move down the field and score.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, well, related with the Texans, so what's done is done. Because they avoided the catastrophic Joe Mixon injury, so he got his 3rd touchdown. Andy, I don't know if you saw that, but he was pretty happy.
I was on that under from an early. I had a good number too. All the numbers got blasted on that. All right, what's next?
They all died. A horrific death. The Denver Broncos are at the Las Vegas Raiders, and I thought the opener was reasonable, but a little bit rich, and it is getting bet out, which means somebody feels very strongly that Denver is for real, and or Vegas has QUIT quit. Is Vegas like going back to AOC or something, or we're gonna kick the tires on Desmond Ridder again? Like what was the momentum for Denver today? Because I did not see that coming.
I think a big part of it is just maybe the injuries. It's getting worse. Like they're both running backs that were injured last week. I mentioned this in one of the halftime shows where someone had said like, hey, Pierce said we're going to run the ball, and Scott Turner said we're going to run the ball, and then they didn't run the ball. That's because their top 2 options got hurt in game. Neither practiced today. Yeah, neither practiced today, and then 3 corners. So Hobbs with his ankle still, Bennett and Jack Jones all sat out today. That's not a great spot to be in. Like, I know Bo Nix is not perfect yet, but Sutton and the rest of those, the rest of the receiving core has been decent enough against bad defenses. And if they're missing even one of those corners, that's going to be a kind of a smash spot. And, if it is going to be, hey, we can't run the ball. We know you can't run the ball. We're going to bring pressure. This has been one of the bigger surprises is how good this pass rush has been all year. And if they can just hit the blitz, hey, we're just bringing pressure from the edge. We're not going to have to worry about run blitzing or keeping contained for God, it's like Amir Abdullah. They might have to elevate somebody from the practice squad as well.
Yeah, no, this is the Dylan Laube show, Andy. We're on to Laube.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm
it's
pronouncing
it's just a bad matchup for the Vegas offense at this point too. So, and they have a good corner. Like I love Jacoby Myers, I love Brock Bowers. But you have a pretty good secondary unit too.
You know what's funny, Andy? Dylan Laube and Brock Bowers have a lot in common.
They're balding.
They're both white, balding rookies.
I was joking. Laube. Now I got to look up Laube.
Dude,
what's his first name?
His picture at the
Dylan?
combine has the most aggressively receding hairline I've ever seen. Yikes,
Oh, no.
Dylan.
He looks like Walton Goggins. Jesus Christ.
What are we doing? Oh, no. He went to UNH. That's University of New Hampshire, for those who are unaware. 24 years old, looks 44. Go get him, Dylan.
He's going to score a touchdown now. I might have to bet him anytime. It's like a garbage touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And I haven't made adjustments for the injuries. My raw number here was not 6. Even I haven't said anything good about Vegas, but they still are at home. And like we said, Bowers has been good. They've been good through the air at points. So I'm not quite at this number. I'm gonna have to look at what it would be if I put the running game slider to 0 and they're missing multiple corners. I'm probably gonna be pretty close. But I like this under. It's back up to 41.
I'm at 37, so we agree. But I'm I'm off totals.
I'm probably gonna play this under.
I'm hitting close to 60% sides and 40% totals this year.
Means you're due.
It means I need to stop playing totals. Is what it means.
Fix your total model.
It feels like there's a bad beat every week.
You got that Titans over. You're not allowed to complain about bad beats.
Oh, that's true.
I should shut up.
I should shut up.
Oh my
You're
God.
right.
Yeah, onside kick.
All of my
The other
comments in one.
whatever, they get the ball to 10. What? That was the best day in the Discord there was. Because people are freaking out. They're like, no way this is real. They're just gonna give them the ball to 10. Who scored that touchdown?
I forgot. It was Tony Pollard. Tony freaking Pollard. You know, he's a future deep dive recipient. Tony Pollard. That's the way we refer to him in this house. He's a brave Italian American hero. All right. The good games, finally. We got 4 to round out this pod. Do you want to qualify what the Sherriford game of the week is? I don't think it can be KC because Patrick Mahomes is on the field. Can it be?
It might be the Houston game, man.
Houston, Tennessee. Okay. I mean, Will Levis does some dumb shit. Let's make Denver, Vegas feels like the
Denver, Vegas can be sharp.
That's gonna be like.
I'd like it to be 15.
That's gonna be like
15 nothing. 15 nothing.
Yeah. Yes. We're gonna have another team kicks 8 field goals and win a game, and it's Denver this time.
I like that.
All right. Arizona, Seattle, great game. I make Seattle a small favorite. I bet them money line, and I think this is probably the last time I have the intestinal fortitude to go up against Arizona this year. If they do well in this game, I don't like the way they match up with Seattle, the way Seattle's playing off of getting healthy. And I think that Arizona's defense might get exposed here as they are now down another man for performance enhancing linebackers. And they have, in general, like, I like the matchup for Seattle. I like the number and the situational kind of taking a team from the desert and putting them in a bomb cyclone with the 12th man feels good, feels right. So Seattle for me, not my biggest edge of the week by far. My number is Seattle by 2, but I think Seattle puts themselves back on level ground with the top of the NFC West after this one.
Yeah, Arizona off bye. This is just a really bad coverage unit for Arizona against a good passing team, a good passing scheme that I think's improved over the year. with God, who's our coach? Grubb. I think Grubb has gotten better.
Grubhub,
We've seen more out of Gino. I worry a little bit coming off a big emotional win. Like that was just a win they couldn't get for a while now. It felt like they would always lose that game. That's my only concern, other than obviously Arizona being off a bye. But my raw numbers as well make the Seattle -1.
Okay.
It's one of the bigger home field advantages. Obviously, I don't know what the weather's going to do to this game.
Really good injury report for Seattle.
Hopefully, yeah, they're healthy. Arizona, for the most part, is healthy. I don't think Jonah is going to play. They activated him.
Yeah.
Jonah Williams was activated. I don't think he goes this week. I could be surprised at that point, but I'm probably going to stay away from this game. I want Seattle to win. I want there to be like a 6-5 logjam because I think that'll be funny.
So fun. I feel like that's coming. I think that's coming.
I think the logjam's coming, guys.
Yeah. God
so
damn, that would be great.
I'll be rooting for Seattle. I've looked at this is another one too where I like this over. I played this on Look Ahead at a worse number. My NFC West totals have not done well. Out of anyone's, those have done the worst, and I keep falling into these traps and can't get an over there. I might look at Seattle team total over though.
Okay, I like that. All right.
Best price on the board for this one is our friends at ProfitX.
You're shitting me.
At least I'm on the unabated. What do you call it? Odd screen, and they'll tell you what the best price is, and it is -1. Or excuse me,
at the end.
Seattle. It's
you know what I gotta do? I gotta retool my odds board and put ProfitX over to the left since that's where I'm playing now. Okay. We can move Sharp Book P over to the right.
I had to move Sugar House out of there. I don't bet a lot at Sugar House. Does that even exist anymore? I think maybe in Philly.
I don't know.
Shout out, hit us in the chat if you bet at Sugar House.
Yeah, you know what?
Maybe like walk in only.
You know what you can move off the screen is Caesars.
Probably.
The San Francisco 49ers at the Green Bay Packers.
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. So I don't have much more to say. I like the number. I like the spot. I like the matchup. I think Seattle's passing offense is going to have a nice day. I think the offensive line is getting some cohesion and playing better. Arizona's pass rush doesn't scare me at all. This is sort of the right matchup for Seattle to flex.
No Dennis Gardick.
No Dennis Gardick. And who was the guy that got suspended? I don't know if it even really matters, honestly.
Marcus Bailey, linebacker.
Marcus Bailey suspended. Dennis Gardick is out.
Well, I don't have your PEDs. They're in John's house and they're in Bill's house. That's a different Bailey. Sugar House is Bet Rivers now. Okay, thanks for the info.
Okay, good to know. San Francisco at Green Bay. I make this San Francisco as effectively a pick 'em. So I took the 2.5 points.
Did you just hack into my ratings today?
No, we did no prep. Yeah, we totally surprised. Yeah, totally surprised. Niners. You want to break this one?
I like the Niners. I'm with you there. I make this close to a pick 'em. That said, the Niners have a ton of injury news that could go pear-shaped in a hurry here. Purdy's shoulder, Kittle possibly not playing. He says he's good to go. A lot of stuff that matters, especially Bosa. Bosa with the hip, he pulled himself out. He wasn't right. You could tell. Mm-hmm. Those kind of things linger, especially for somebody who plays edge. I don't know. Like, that's the only thing that's keeping me from playing this now. And this is what I said to Drew off air. We talked a little about this one game. And I said, I'm scared because of the injury stuff. And I said, what is the money line right now? What's your best money line for the Niners? So I'm looking at the spread because I'm an idiot. Like plus 110.
You can get a plus 125.
Yeah, plus 120, 125. I'd rather bet even money.
Never mind.
Yeah, and so that's the thing about Bovada too. Their feed is very delayed. They will always have like a price that's lagging by like 12 hours
Yeah, the
on
best
any odd screen you use for some reason.
price I can give you is 114.
Yeah. So I said I'd rather play even money or minus 105 than plus 114, but have a lot more injury knowledge. I'm willing to let this move a little in my favor before I bet it, to actually know that Purdy's fine, that Bosa can play. So I'll probably be on the Niners, but man, I'm a little sketched out by the injury stuff right now. Green Bay played well. A lot of yak in that game. I would think we'd get a better performance from the Niners defense, although like you said, the Bears defense is getting a little worse than the heights they were at with some of the injuries. So they were able to get a lot of yards after the catch last week. The Packers probably should have won that game. I think the Niners have their own struggles at 2 out of the 3 linebacker spots, but they have a good secondary. They have a good tackling secondary if they're fully healthy. And if Bosa's in, I like them to win this game.
Okay.
Nothing real situational.
We agree. So maybe the only situational thing is
Salah.
it is a Bob Sala game. This is a rematch of a really good playoff game last year.
Oh my God.
And this has
both Niners playoff games are so good.
This has playoff game implications. All 3 Niners playoff games. They were in the Super Bowl too, Andy. Although that one went to overtime and somehow actually wasn't a good game. The general kind of vibe I get right now with the Packers is the market has still not caught up to the defense being clearly bottom 10, maybe bottom 5. Jair Alexander, not anywhere close to 100%.
Going.
And the book, you know what? The book is out. Don't throw it at Xavier McKinney. The degree to which the turnovers earlier in the season are doing a lot of heavy lifting for this Packers defense, I think, is very important. If you just flip over, top 10 in EPA per play, this is a good unit. Well, exclude turnovers and watch them plummet all the way down to 16th, which I guess isn't that bad.
I have them as my 21st best defense.
Pretty high success rate for in general. Like they're giving up a lot of opportunity, and I think that's a problem against the Niners team. This is a good matchup for the Niners offensively, assuming Purdy's elbow or shoulder isn't fucked. And I'm assuming Trent Williams just goes and CMC just goes. The Nick Bosa question is the big one, because the defense for the Niners kind of flips from like 8 or 9 with Bosa out there to like 18th or 19th without him. Do you have any sense of the availability of reinforcements for this Niners defense beyond Nick Bosa? You got anything on Greenlaw?
Greenlaw maybe. Greenlaw maybe. Bosa I think is 50-50.
You put him 50-50? Okay.
Yeah. Alexander's out. Like his knee is just not right.
Okay.
Yeah, Bosa didn't practice today, but I guess that probably wasn't expected early in the week. Purdy was limited. I think that's fine. Bosa is a hip and oblique. And then Kittle is the hamstring. He's expected to play. Don't know. He was limited as well today. McCaffrey sat out.
Ward is back with the team.
Resting. Ward is back from his personal issues. Yeah, that matters. I think he
win one for Charvarius Ward's daughter. That would be nice.
Yeah. I think the fact that he's back and practicing, I think that means he's, emotionally ready to go back to work. So I think he does play this week and he helps.
Yeah. I can see a world where the running attack for Green Bay is not especially successful in this one, and that there are a lot of third downs for Jordan Love to convert. And if you can get any kind of pass rush on him, then I think this is that would feel pretty good. Over is a look here. I agree. My number is, I'll see again. Like, I'm not betting totals, but if I was, I would bet this one. My fare is 49.
I'm not betting totals, but if I was,
I would bet this one. Well, I bet the Niners already, so I don't feel like double dipping anyway. But yeah, I mean, think basically what I'm saying is my edge on this one is the Niners offense getting to 24.5, 25 points. And I know they can't actually get to 24.5. I'm not an idiot, but you know what I mean.
That would be crazy if they did, though.
You know what that would be, Andy?
Yeah.
Automatic score got me.
Automatic score got me. I don't think Greenlaw. It sounds like Greenlaw is like working on the side, and
Okay.
he'll be back at practice next week. That's
Okay.
what they're shooting for. Achilles are nasty injuries.
They are not good. Okay.
right.
Maybe I shouldn't
Sunday
bake
night?
my hopes on him being effective anyway then. Next week, by the way, if you were curious, Sunday Night Football, the Niners go at the Buffalo Bills. So fascinated to find out what they do after their Green Bay Packers game. Do they stay in Youngstown or at the Greenbrier and do like a little mini camp across the country, or do they fly back to the Bay? That will be kind of useful to know. If anyone knows, shoot us a note. Anyway.
When the
Sunday Night Football?
lights go down. Yeah.
I hope the
Sunday Night
Niners get
Football.
healthy and get good and stay in the mix, because we got a lot of Niners in our life in the next month and a half, and we got a lot of Cowboys, and that's not going well. So could use something good. Looking at this Niners schedule, man, there are basically every game the rest of the season is either the premier 4:00 game or it is a primetime game.
That's what happens when you're a good team.
Probably going to
Hopefully they
get the
flex
Sunday
some-
night.
Yeah.
They're probably going to get the Sunday night game final week of the season at the Cardinals to decide the division or something weird.
This is a good point. Not with Thanksgiving. They wouldn't.
Oh,
That's a tough ask to keep a team away
Yes.
from from their families.
You're
The
right.
half totally makes up for everything you've ever done wrong to
I
me.
forgot it was Thanksgiving next week, even though I brought it up already on this podcast. That's how locked in I am to handicapping football. All right. Philly Rams. Can't get to 3.
Sunday Night Football. Waiting all week for this one.
Can't get to 3. Haven't bet the Rams. What's wrong with me?
I
Not
don't
enough
know.
of an edge to just take +3. Modal outcome for this is Philly wins by 3. Even though
It's a
my
spendy 3. I
mean,
mean,
my
it's-
mean and median are both under 3.
It's like a 2.75. Philly off extra rest off Thursday Night Football. I think this pretty much comes down to what shows up for the Rams defense in this one. So we've seen some pretty good pass rush when they've come up against some teams that have maybe offensive line problems and quarterbacks who can't move around. I don't think you have either of those in this team, and I don't know if it's a great matchup for the Rams defense in this spot. They can just kill you with so many different things. And I know Philly, we have this weird bad taste in our mouth with Philly because, like, how many years in a row it's been like, man, this team's so good. And then we get to like Thanksgiving, it's like, holy shit, this team is like, are they trying to suck on purpose to make me angry? What is wrong with everybody involved with Philadelphia? They've done, there's been injuries, but they've had some sucky performances late in the season. I don't know if that's a symptom or a disease, but right now it seems like I'm pretty much on market, and it doesn't feel like the pass rush is going to get to Hurts very often here. And
yeah.
I don't know. Like none of my matchups, none of my in-game matchups have a huge edge. Actually, like the Rams' run defense is below average. It's not great, and obviously Philly excels there. So there's a decent edge there, and on the other side too, it's hard to judge exactly what you're going to get. Like I said, it's been up and down, but it's been more down than up in my numbers, at least for the pass rush for the Rams. And it's just such a strong, I think it is I'm not counting some teams that aren't playing, but Kansas City and the Chargers have been better at pass block, and Indy, I guess, or excuse me, Detroit. So it's like one of my top 5 pass blocking teams. I don't see how the Rams find a way to bother this offense right now.
Yeah. That makes
Good
sense.
coverage. It's been good coverage. That's where I wonder if they do lean on Saquon a little more or some designed runs with Hurts.
Philly's just I can't ever get them to perform
These
to the sum of
Yeah.
the parts. You just can never do it. Like the parts are so fucking good. Why isn't it better? It really you said it well, I think. You know what's funny about this matchup, Andy, and maybe one of the reasons I'm having a mental issue coming up with a good handicap. Even though Philly's been in the playoffs a bunch, been to the Super Bowl recently, even though the Rams have been to the playoffs a bunch, won the Super Bowl recently. Like, there just haven't been very many high stakes matchups between these two teams where everybody was healthy and like the game mattered. This is kind of weird, right? Like, can you remember a big Rams Eagles game? I'm like, Did the Eagles beat the Rams on the way to winning their Super Bowl? No, they beat the Falcons and somebody else. They didn't play the Rams in the playoffs when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs. The Rams never played the Eagles on their run to the either Super Bowl.
Or Patrick's doing it.
2001 NFC playoffs.
2000. Classic. I remember that game.
That was a classic one.
Yeah, McNabb and Kurt
McNabb versus the greatest show on turf.
Warner.
Yeah. That one was classic. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, like it is kind of weird, right? Well, St. Louis Rams won that game, by the way, 29-24. I'll never forget it. But there's just been sort of this lack of interesting football for whatever reason in the McVay era, in the last couple of successful Philly eras here. So I don't know. I don't have a good sense.
That's weird.
I just don't have a good sense how these guys match up. And I think this is going to be a much more of a true test for the secondary than last Thursday's Commanders game, right? Like if the Vic Fangio defense is fixed, like we're gonna see it. He's gonna have no problem, I think, kind of keeping because the offense for the Rams is pretty inconsistent. Like even when they're up against inferior opponents like the Patriots last week, that it felt harder than it should have. So this is going to be kind of, I think, a good learning. This is going to be a good game to learn about what Philly is right now. I think if they can go on the road in a primetime game and get a win, and their defense looks good, and Mitchell and DeJean, continue to kick ass, then you just kind of throw your hands up and you're like, one seed's they're coming for the Lions, one seed. If they win this,
that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, man, is this defense really starting to put it all together at this point? I know everybody's just slobbing on that knob right now, but it's kind of true. You're not even getting like massive days. Smith and Brown had like 90 yards total combined last week. They if they need to, they can just lean on Saquon, and we saw it at the end of the game. They scored 20 points in the fourth quarter because people were sick and tired of chasing him around tackling Saquon, and you can only stack the box so much and against those receivers. I don't know. I think where's this total gone?
I don't know that I've seen it move at all. I guess the other thing is there's been some nibbling. There's been some nibbling on Rams at +3 that has made this juicy, but I don't think anyone really wants to bet this game for some reason.
No, I kind of want to learn. I want to learn from this game.
My number says 47.
I looked at my pricing
I guess if
for
I had
pass
to have
rush.
a bet, I would look under. Yeah, go ahead.
I have the Rams pass rush pretty much rated similarly to Washington's. They do some things well, but they're like 18th in pressure rate, middle of the pack, and some of the other ratings. That's why I said, like, there's good games and there's bad games for them.
Take the good,
take the bad. Philly that'll be the fun matchup. Philly's young secondary versus Kupp and Nacua, and we'll see what we have for offensive line health for the Rams at this point.
What did you make of Jalen Hurts saying he was limited in Wednesday's practice because of a mini program the team has had him undergo to help with a lower body issue since Thursday's win over the Commanders?
I don't know. I read that too. I think it's just I think it's one of those things where you have to report. Like,
okay.
Even if they're so strict about this shit. I mean, we've seen fines come down. It feels like if he doesn't do everything that he normally does in practice, because he has to go do some stretching because his hammies get tight, that counts as like limited. You see so many of these limited things, and I think this would be a fun thing to talk about. It's funny. I gave Chernoff so much shit for doing those podcasts with the beat reporters.
Sure.
Those, I would love to talk to beat reporters about that sort of stuff. The guys who are at practice every day, all year, like, what does limited actually mean sometimes? Like, what's the range of limited? Is it just, hey, he missed half of practice because he has the squirts, and you got to put him down as limited because he didn't play?
That's the Lamar Jackson special, surely. Okay. Well, God,
yeah.
bummer not to have a bet on Sunday Night Football there.
First, having a bad game would allow some other people into that ROI market.
Jordan Mailata back, right?
Teasing the Rams up, yeah.
Mailata's back. Offensive line for Philly is basically at full strength, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then Havenstein, I think he's trending the right direction. I don't think Puka was any worse for wear after he hurt his shoulder on that touchdown catch. At least haven't heard anything, so I think he was fine. That just looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
The stinky one is the Bryce Huff's news. So
he'll be back.
He played with
soon.
They said like he was ineffective playing that way. They said go heavy wrist surgery. He's going to go on IR. He'll be back at the end of the year. It might just be a 4 or 5 week stint.
Okay. You know why else this might be a good game to watch? Just because this might be a preview of your 2-7. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. All right. Let's carry on. Baltimore, LA. I also cannot make this 3. My numbers say Chargies. The best number on the board for the Chargers is not ProfitX, by the way. ProfitX is heavily tilted in favor of LA here. Look like they want to go to 2.5, actually. If you want Ravens -3, you can get it +103 there. My total for this one is 47.7. The total for the game is currently sitting at 51.
51, it's so high.
It's so high. Am I going to break my commitment not to bet totals and bet the under?
Maybe. Do it. What if you do it?
When's the last time it's gone poorly to bet an under on Monday Night Football? All right.
So I run a bunch of things together. Aside from my totals model, I run some other things, and I just like look at cumulative advantage and a bunch of spots for the offenses and defenses.
Yeah, that's
add it all up together and see, like, is this a game where there's just a ton of advantages on multiple levels for the offense or multiple levels for the defense? And I have this about as close to neutral. Like, the advantages kind of are equal, or they little ones here are outweighed by defensive advantages there. It's equal, yet your median total in the NFL is what right now? About 46, a little lower.
Yeah.
Probably 45 and change.
Yep.
This one is sitting 5 points higher than the median. So I'm a little puzzled by that as well. I don't know what's keeping this so high.
Can you
I guess Herbert has been good. He looked really good in the first half. He looked really good
Cam Hart concussion protocol. That matters a bit. I don't know, man. Like, I guess maybe a better way to explore this is I didn't bet the Chargers. Why not? My numbers say don't be stupid, just bet the Chargers. Okay, well, again, like it's a 3. Like this is 2 games in a row.
About that last week until I didn't.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's not. There's no value necessarily to be had with the number itself. It's juicy as shit now. On top of that, the kind of the way that I feel like the Chargers defense is succeeding is just kind of good disciplined coaching and preparation, and they haven't really been tested, and they're getting really, really solid pass rush going. Well, that doesn't fucking work against Lamar. Like, this defense could get filleted, right? Like, this could be a filleting. This could be a teach tape for the Chargers defense as they prepare for elite opponents in the playoffs coming up here. And I think for those reasons, like in the back of my head, a Ravens offensive explosion feels like it could come, which is why I didn't play the under and I didn't play the Chargers.
That's my concern as well with the advantages they have. So everybody knows the Ravens can stop the run. And they should stop the run. This is going to be no different. They're very good against the run. A little bit of a pass funnel, which happens, but I guess
This
we'll
is
see
the kind of opponent you want to be a pass funnel against.
I'm just naming things that keeping me off this under.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of it is this is such a good pass blocking offensive line.
Yeah.
And some of that is Lamar. It's the same reason we have good numbers for the Arizona offensive line. Although I shouldn't take credit away. There's some players that are playing much better than we thought they would for that Arizona offensive line. Same thing for the Baltimore. We were a little worried with the turnover. It wasn't going to be good. Henry helps that. The threat of Henry helps that. And obviously Lamar doing what he does and his sack avoidance helps that. But it's a massive advantage. And it's a pass rush that's banged up. Even if Mac plays, there's no chance he's 100%. Bosa hasn't been 100% for a while now. They're both getting a little long in the tooth. I'm concerned that Lamar will be unbothered, and this defense is good, but not good enough at times. We've seen this with the Ravens. Like, hey, they're up against a good defense. Well, it's just not going to matter today.
Yeah, because like they just, again, like if you're new to this, which you probably aren't because we're a very niche podcast that only caters to the very not new at this. But if you're new to this, defense and defensive rating in a lot of ways is just a reflection of what quarterbacks have you played. And the Chargers have not played a lot of Lamar Jacksons this year. In fact, they played none. Last week against the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. If you think I felt comfortable with that game and that win until it was very much the game is over and decided, you are incorrect. I was like, dude, Burrow is going to pop at some point and shred these guys, and it's going to feel terrible, but I hope they can hold on for dear life as they've amassed this massive, advantage, and they barely did. Was that an overtime game, or was it like their eighth chance at the end of the game to finally score the points they needed? They finally got it. Yeah. With the 29-yard touchdown run. Anyway, the defense is, I think, gettable by an elite quarterback. And the examples we have of them playing an elite quarterback were week 11 when the Bengals hung 27 on them, and the second half looked absolutely like there was no resistance. Week 4 when they played the Pat Mahomes and Rashee Rice-less Kansas City Chiefs. And that's it. If you want to say week 7 on Monday Night Football when they played the Cardinals, okay, I guess so. But, that was a loss. And they lost in embarrassing fashion right at the tail end of that game. So, they have not played the true elite. And in particular, Lamar's excellence scares the Jesus out of me here. And, yeah. What do you think? I haven't heard word. I don't know anybody injured at all for either of these teams other than Cam.
Well, here's the problem. It's a Monday. It's a Monday game, so they don't have to put a report out today. They can do walkthroughs. They can even practice today. They don't have to put a report out till tomorrow. So,
yeah, I do have one note for you on this one.
I don't know if he plays. I feel like it's 50-50. They ruled him out pretty quick last week.
I do have one note for you on this one. I saw a fun story today on The Athletic. The severe decline of an elite kicker. You want to guess who it was about?
Oh, no. Was it about our guy, the opera singer?
No, it was Justin Tucker.
Yeah, he's an opera singer.
What?
Oh, Google that.
Justin Tucker is an opera singer?
Yeah.
Oh. If you are, again, new to this, Andy very famously called out Justin Tucker with a terrible special teams rating for the Ravens in the preseason, and has been roundly supported by the results to date.
I should go find any clip. I should go find that clip for like our victory laps at the end of the year. We'll do what we got and what we missed on at the end of the year. But yeah, Roquan was the hamstring thing in game.
It was a brutal headline. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Hamstrings are problematic. I don't know that he goes, and that's another reason. I'm just naming things to keep me off the under.
Yeah. Even more brutal than the headline in the Athletic, which I was looking for right now so I could read it exactly. I don't know why I can't find it. Athletic is somehow screened out of the Google News feed. 2 days ago. Normally automatic kickers like Justin Tucker and Younghoe Koo
Yeah.
are struggling in 2024. Imagine being Justin Tucker being like, "You're putting me next to Younghoe Koo?" Like that's the
Koo's
comp.
been good.
I know he's been good, but like normally automatic kickers like Justin Tucker, Younghoe Koo, like one of those guys is on a Hall of Fame trajectory, the other is not. That is a rough comp
Speaking of Hall
in
of
the
Fame,
New York Times headline.
it
Yeah.
looks like South Dakota State's own Adam Vinatieri probably gets in this year.
Finally.
I think he does.
Finally.
We're putting a kicker
Long
in, guys.
overdue.
And then also speaking of kickers, did you see that stuff that came out of Chicago on the blocked kick?
Hit me. I have not.
So-
I'm not plugged in like you are.
So apparently, every single extra point he's ever taken was from the opposite hash that they kicked from. I at first I felt like it was the guy who made up the stat about, well, when he throws 5 interceptions, he's actually like 7-1, and they read it on McAfee and he got trolled. I thought that was joking, but multiple places reported this, and it's like, you didn't even try to get to the hash he likes for the game. It's one thing if it's tied and the pressure's a little off, but you needed that or it's win or lose. You couldn't run one play to just a quick outside run, 2 hands on the ball to get on the right hash.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that makes me feel like we have it. I can put another job opening into my probably list.
Oh,
We started to do
wow.
that a little in one of the chats. We were looking at the for sure's, which is, obviously the Jets and the Saints, the most likelies, which was like, and Raiders, Bears, Jags. And there was a couple that we came up with, like, if the Eagles lose in the first round of the playoffs, it feels like that's 70-30 that they just knee-jerk get rid of a coach. To make McVay suddenly retiring if it doesn't go his way, because that's been a rumor for like 4 years now. There could be like 7 or 8 job openings, and it's crazy. So I went through my notes from last year. I kept notes on everybody who got a request or an interview last year for the openings, just so I'd have it for this year. It actually was helpful. Do you remember the name of the interim head coach for the Los Angeles Chargers before they hired Jim Harbaugh?
He
got an interview. They always get a pity interview.
God,
anybody in the chat, don't search it. Yeah, it's like, how did I forget this guy?
Name.
I'll give you a clue. It's a peanut butter.
GIF. GIF or GIF? GIF or GIF?
I don't remember how to say
or
it.
GIF? Is it GIF or GIF, Andy?
Yeah, it was GIF Smith.
GIF Smith, yes. GIF Smith. That's a good throwback.
I'd forgotten. Once I saw that, I'm like, who is? Because it's like, oh, they interviewed GIF Smith.
Like, why did they kick the tires on GIF Smith?
I'm like, oh yeah, he
Wait,
was.
do we know? Is it really GIF?
I don't know how to say it. I don't remember.
Okay.
We had this conversation. That's how
G at the front of G off is Jeff. So let's go.
He stayed in town. He's a D-line coach for the Rams.
Oh yeah.
Win one for the Jiffer.
I thought he was a special teams coach.
I think he was, but he's also the run game coordinator for the Rams now.
Yeah. What did you make of that if you don't love Aaron Rodgers and if you don't love the Jets, the last 48 hours has probably been a delight. What did you make of the Joe Douglas firing?
I think he's a good GM. I think that's stupid.
Okay.
I think someone's going to snatch him up right away.
You think?
He drafted pretty decent, all things considered. He made the, it's an unexcusable flaw for a GM not to get the quarterback right, even though it's very difficult to get the quarterback right, and that's how you lose your job. You don't nail the one.
And he was drafting in the COVID year. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, you don't get the one draft pick right that matters. You go look at that draft class. I'm not sure he had a shot there. Anyway, all those guys kind of stink. But you missed on Wilson. You bring Rodgers in, it isn't working out. I get it, but man, like him. There's going to be some guys that get fired, and it's going to be full Saquon, where it's like someone's going to get Brian Dable as an offensive coordinator, and he's going to He's going to just coordinate the shit out of somebody's offense next year. Someone's going to hire this guy, and he's going to be a really good, assistant or full ass GM. Like they should fire Balky right now and just hire him. Like it's an instant. Even if you don't think he's great, it's an instant.
He must have compromise on Khan. I can't imagine why else.
I don't know. Yeah.
I think Balky does have the leverage of he was in the room banging on the table for Hutchinson, if I remember correctly. Or was did he want Walker and Khan wanted Hutchinson?
Dable to Linus.
Oh, he's gonna replace Ben Johnson.
You could do
That's
worse.
a nightmare scenario. Oh man. Holy shit. Good Lord. That would be
yeah, I don't know. It sounds like the Jets
That would be
ownership is
wild.
kind of goofed up. And I don't remember which brother's which, but the one sounds like he's going to get another admirable ship. That's not it. He's not going to become an admiral.
ambassador.
Ambassador. I said the wrong A word.
Woody Johnson's gonna
He will
an
not
ambassador again.
be. He will not be steering a ship through the high seas. He will be probably getting an ambassadorship again. So then you have you're back to the other brother. I don't know. It's just a messy franchise.
Okay. Even though he's a big pharma evil guy. Okay.
Did you see the joke? I think it was PMT.
No.
Comment something about like, what if Rodgers took this job to get even with Johnson & Johnson, taking down the Jets from the inside for the pandemic? Like, that's like a really funny joke, but at the same time, dude's legit nuts. So
Did you hear do you think there was any truth to the Woody was trying to get Rodgers benched earlier this season?
there was like multiple
that's
people
real?
confirming that. That's like a crazy thing to do.
Fuck, wow.
Like, it's not. You're not
So
going to get
Rodgers
better
is
that
probably not.
There's
coming
no
back
chance
next year.
Rodgers plays for them next year. And I don't think Seifert makes jokes like this without having a little truth. He did mention that Minnesota has no quarterbacks under contract besides JJ McCarthy next year. If we get the
full on
full
Favre arc again,
Favre arc,
can't happen. It can't happen.
I don't want him in my state.
What would be the funniest place for him to be the quarterback next
Probably
year?
Minnesota, right? I mean, I think we already named it, but I mean, think of the other places that he could go.
New Orleans.
New Orleans probably can't move on from Carr with the contract yet. Stafford retires. Maybe he goes out west. Stafford's going to just retire one of these years. I'm trying to think who needs a quarterback. I'm looking at like all the bad teams and trying to think actually who needs a quarterback. He could stay in town, just get a blue outfit.
New York Giants.
Tennessee, that would check out. The Raiders.
The Raiders. Is Tom Brady going to twist some arms, bring him out to Vegas?
He's going
What's
to
his
play
relationship with Tom Brady like? Are they weird buddies?
Right.
Okay.
He said he's playing, and Rossini basically said he ain't playing for the Jets. And so he's going to end up somewhere. And I think it doesn't matter where, it's going to be hilarious.
A seat holder for the Raiders while they draft and develop is probably reasonable. Plus, they need an offensive coordinator
Giants,
right now. They could bring Nate Hackett with them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, man.
Well,
so are the Jets going to try to lose out then to draft? Probably. They're going to hit the full hard reset, aren't they?
How do you lose out? Like, there's it's crazy how talented the Jets roster is. They have so many names, and they just suck.
Their schedule is not that easy. Seahawks, Dolphins. Oh, they got Jags. But then Rams, Bills, Dolphins. Like they could finish 4-13. They could lose out except for that Jags game. They could.
I think they win.
Jags
I think
game.
they win two games and don't end up with the best draft pick they could get.
The Jets and the Giants sucking for the draft status is kind of a hilarious development. Who would you hire if you had to pick of anyone to run the draft and development? A GM? Are you trying to get a GM coach? Are you trying to get a? We should save this for. Let's think about this, and we'll save this for overtime tomorrow. Unless you want to talk basketball in the overtime tomorrow, because I am way into the NBA right now. I'm cheering for, if you're at home, I'm cheering for Blazers plus the points. I'm cheering for the Sixers, who are amazingly losing to the Grizzlies. I have Bucks minus the points, and I have Warriors minus the points today. And Franz Wagner, most improved player. We want Franz Wagner to give us another 30 burger.
Yeah, I passed in the NBA tonight.
You did? This is a small card.
Yeah. So here's the thing: like a lot of these guys that are going to get looked at for GMs, we don't really know them. You want me to read some names of guys who got job interviews last year and tell me if you actually have heard of them? He was Bucks assistant GM Mike Greenberg, Lions chief operating officer Mike Disner, Raiders interim GM Champ Kelly, Colts assistant GM Ed Dodds. Like these are not people I know, so I don't have like a strong opinion on who's. Ed Dodds got interviewed for like multiple spots. There was like 4 or 5 GMs that were fired last year that needed to be replaced, if I recall right. So the Commanders interviewed a bunch of guys as well. And remember, they brought in the NBA guy. Speaking of, full circle there, guy. Yeah, let's just hire Dr. Eric. Last opinion. Do you think Deion Sanders would make a good NFL coach? Because I don't.
No.
I don't think that kind of stuff translates.
I think it would be hilarious.
Coaching adults.
So I'll allow it.
The difference between yelling at 19-year-old kids and talking to millionaires. I don't think he has the tact it takes to coach NFL players.
Like I said, I'll allow it.
Yeah, it'd be very funny.
Yeah, make for great content. Let's put Deion and Shedeur in Vegas with Aaron Rodgers as a Band-Aid. Give him time to develop.
Oh my God, it's just gas and matches. This is fair.
More
Some
fun
of these
than the Raiders are
19-year-old
now. The Raiders now are boring.
Yeah,
They're
it'd be fun.
boring.
It'd be very fun. All right, guys. I'm gonna call
They
it
are
a night.
boring. All right, let's go.
Widowmaker.
Let's go. Let me hit the music.
Oh, we'll see you. What's our team total? Real quick.